We are live. Everyone, Facebook group, thank you for joining me here. Get started with my good friend for over 20 years now.
Wow.
Mentor to me, coach. And we call him Coach Bobby Bluford. Everyone welcomed him to the show today. Thank you, Bobby, for being here, man.
Hey, thank you very much, Donnie, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with an old friend, a brother, if you will. So thank you
Yep.
very much.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad you carved out some time. This actually is pretty timely for us considering the craziness we're going through. I know you're quarantined like myself, huh?
Yes. Quarantine kids are here, so we'll see how long I remain sane.
I think that's the challenge we're all going to face here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. So, just to give our audience a little background on you, man, tell us a little about your journey. I know, we got the UC Davis for college and some Santa Clara, but before we get into the fun stuff here, give us a little bit about your background, man.
Yeah. So real quickly, I'm an Army brat, right? So I grew up on Army bases, as a kid, and my story. I do a signature talk when I talk about where I come from. My story is I grew up with a stutter. I grew up kind of, insecure, fundamentally feeling like I was inferior. And then sports saved me. Like sports came into my life at a young age. And I kind of used that as an avenue to build my confidence and build a brand and an identity, and some principles that I'll get into in a little bit. But that's kind of where a large shift in who I was happened. I went on, as you said, to play collegiate football at UC Davis. And like most athletes, my career did not extend to the pro ranks. So at the age of 23, I found myself back where I was at 8, right? Having lost an environment, a avenue through which I had gained so much confidence, so much identity.
Right.
And so I was lost. And so I tried, and I began to do all these things to kind of replace that confidence vessel, right? So I went back to school, got a master's degree in business, got an MBA from one of the better programs in the country, Santa Clara. I leveraged that to go on to be a chief financial officer for startup companies for about a decade. Still felt lost, still always felt compelled to do more with kind of my gifts, one of which is my physical nature, my human connective ability. So after the last company I was at got acquired, I pivoted again and began a fitness brand. And so I've been doing fitness boot camps. I've been training sports programs and kind of maintaining my physicality and my fitness for the last 7 years. And now I'm using all of that history, all of that that whole path I've been on from a kid to sports, to finance, to my fitness brand, using all that to reach out to people and speak and help people connect all the tissues of their lives, fitness, health, relationships, and teach them now underlying principles that I've used my whole life.
Right.
To not only stay in shape, but to use those principles to build and grow in their business, in their relationships, in their fitness and health, and whatever they're trying to do to be great. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I've used all that stuff now. I'm doing podcasts. I'm writing a book. I'm building a mastermind program. I speak to people, corporations, and teams and groups about chasing what is their inherent greatness.
Yep. I love that, man. And I've been in your world for 20 years. I know you've been living this. That's I can say that for for the years I've known you. I know you've been living this way for a while, man. And I know there's a lot that you shared with me and kind of pushed onto me that's impacted my life.
Thank you.
That just the attitude of greatness and the mindset around it. And I remember when we were doing the work that we were doing together, and a lot of days it was just you and me out there. And you never gave me any damn break, even though I showed up.
That's right.
It was a push every time.
That's right.
And I know that's really what it took to get to that level that we were, trying to get us to. So
yep.
That's great. I had no idea, man, that you had a stutter and confidence issue growing up, though.
Yeah, and I'll share with the group my story that that I have a video of it. But yeah, like most of us,
Hmm.
and in my story, I talk about having to go back and get that kid, and I left in that chair crying after he couldn't do a speech.
Right.
Like there was a moment in my life where I could not do that. And part of my growth was realizing and accepting that all that I am now was because of that kid.
Right.
Right. It wasn't in spite of him, it was because of him.
Right.
So I went back to go get him. And now I'm using all that as you are teaching people to do in your program. I'm
Yep.
using all that and bringing it to the forefront to help me move forward in whatever I do in life.
Yeah. No, it's funny you bring that up, man. I mean, because I think sometimes we try to shove those insecurities away,
That's
and
right.
that's really what lights the fire. I just went through an
Right.
experience like that myself. That really just facing who I was as a kid, and the guy that I
Yeah.
left behind is really who I need to get, really complete this journey with me.
Exactly. I saw your post about that. And it was like, wow, we do think alike.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. Is exactly what I'm talking about. So
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's kind of dive into some of the mindset things. We were talking before we started this thing about, everybody thinks it's the diet, and everybody thinks it's the workout, but the foundation is the mindset.
Right. So, and I've always known this at some levels, at many levels, but it wasn't until I began teaching people how to lose weight, how to be fit, how to maximize time when you're a busy professional like we are,
Hmm.
that I began to understand and really, and as I began to kind of grow in my career as a speaker and addressing those hiccups and hurdles that I had growing up,
Hmm.
right? And so I have these 5 steps of greatness that I'll share with the group. And the 5 steps really quickly are: you have to want it really bad. Whatever,
Yep.
if it's a big vision, a big goal, a big dream, whether it's lose 30 pounds or build a large marketing firm or whatever you're trying to do, you have to want it at your core. Wake up and breathe it. Number 2 is you got to have a strong belief it's possible, right? And not until step 3, 4, 5 do we get into the X's and O's.
Right.
Right. 3 is you gotta start going, build habits that are constantly about moving forward and taking action. 4 is you gotta learn as you go. Don't be an idiot and just sit there and keep going doing the wrong thing over and over again. Learn as you go. And then step 5 is when you encounter resistance and hiccups, you have to have an attitude of persistence.
Right.
So want, believe, go, learn, persist. But steps 1 and 2 are all about mindset.
Right.
And most people that we talk to, I'm sure you have the same thing in your
Yep.
business.
Hmm.
They want step 3.
Yeah. They want the
Like, what do
result.
I do now? How do
Yep.
I go? What do I do now? What's
Yep.
the diet? What's the book? What's the workshop? What's the workout? And I say, okay, I can give you this, but if you don't want to be fit, if you don't wake up and really want that more than you want the donuts
Right.
or more than you want to sleep in, then I don't care what I give you. It won't work. So I teach people how to do that. How to number 1 sit down and evaluate what's been holding you back. Because if you've been trying to lose weight for 5, 10, 15 years, 5, 10, 15 months, in
Hmm.
any length of time, and you know it's possible because the neighbor just lost 30, or the
Yep.
girl you follow on Facebook just made money doing the same course you did, then it's not the diet. It's
Yep.
not the course. So you have to be honest. And so the steps you take are sitting there and telling yourself what the contract is. Like, what's the underlying contract to be great? And sitting there by yourself with yourself and figuring out what that contract is.
Yep.
And then if you sign it, you get your pen and sign it, then every day, now we're taking steps that are going to help you get past the barriers. But it's all about the mindset. It's about making sure you want it, realizing what the one is, right?
Yep.
What the contract is for that, and then finding ways to build your belief system, right? That's important because then you have to go to groups like this one
Hmm.
and surround yourself with people who have the same mindset,
Right.
right? You have to surround yourself, and then your belief system begins to build. But if you don't do those 2 things,
Got
you
no chance.
you you'll keep spending
Yep.
money, and the wheel will keep going and going, and you won't be going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I teach people to start with the mind first,
Hmm.
and then if you and not only first but continually. I have days still where I have to make sure that I deal with that fight
Yep.
before I deal with the weights.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
It's critical.
Yeah.
It's critical.
Well, I think with mindset, sometimes we think there's like an end stop, and it's mindset is learning daily habits to control the mind, right? And be dialed in. And it's funny you bring that up because like when we were doing our initial training together, like there was I knew what my end goal was, which was to play D1 ball, right? So for me, it was like getting up and doing the workouts. I hated them, but the mindset was there. Now as an adult, like it is more challenging for me because I don't have, for my fitness, I don't have that big why.
Exactly.
It's a much different approach because it's like, okay, yeah, I want to be healthy. Yeah, I want to be fit, but is that like really enough to drive me consistently? It's not.
It's not.
No.
It's not. I'm so glad, if you don't mind, I'm so glad you said that because that is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time that if you imagine when you were a kid, right? And a kid could be, for many of us, until you're 48, in my case. But if you imagine, a kid, right? They have no problem rehearsing their dream. Like you pass by, not as much anymore, but you pass by the local playground or the local, street.
Mm-hmm.
They're rehearsing their dream of being an athlete, of being the president, of being in the military. They're rehearsing it. They have no problem seeing it, believing it, and rehearsing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas and then when you have something like that, whether it's be a Division I athlete, or be a singer, or be something, a lawyer, a doctor, when you have that as a kid, it's easy because we haven't been hit with life yet.
Yeah.
Right. And we haven't been told or shown how unimportant those things are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're right. So when you get married and when you get older and when you find the love of your life, you realize they kind of love you for who you are. Your wife loves you, your friends love you, your kids love you. So there really is no reason, no big why to be in shape anymore. Right. And you're right. We think being healthy is enough, but unless you go to the doctor and they tell you you're going to die if you don't stop doing this, there really is no immediate need. So this morning when the alarm goes off, that need to be healthy, to not die, for most of us is not immediate enough.
Right. Exactly.
So what I tell people is this, begin to identify, number one, begin to identify as somebody who is healthy. Right. So there's a great book called Atomic Habits that talks about 3 levels of behavioral change, right? Outcome based, which is goals. We all kind of do that.
Yep.
Process based, which is changing your habits or trying to change your habits and restructure your life around that. But most change comes when you begin to identify as the person you want to be. So what would a person who's 30 pounds lighter do?
Mm-hmm.
How would they act? Who would they hang out with? And until you do that part of it, it's hard. How does somebody who is a great speaker, how does he act, Coach Bobby? How does somebody who has a brand of walking around and teaching people about greatness, what does he read?
Right.
So we have to begin to do those things in order to make the change permanent, right? And I say, when you wake up in the morning, all of us, the first thing you see is you. Right before you shower, the first thing you see in the mirror is you. The first thought you have is you. And not only what you look like, because most times, once you begin to change, you feel better immediately.
Right.
So even if you look the exact same as you did yesterday, if you committed yesterday to changing, you feel differently already. But only you know that. So that if the first thing you see in the mirror is you and you don't like what you see, it's impossible to be the best version of you at whatever you do. You can't be the best mom. You can't be the best dad. You can't be the best marketer. You can't be the best recruiter. You can't be the best. You can't do it.
Yep.
So once you begin to wake up and acknowledge that, that can be your why.
Right.
Like I don't want to be on stage and be a bikini fitness model, or I don't want to be a bodybuilder, but I do want to be a better dad.
Right.
I do want to be a better business owner. And I know that if I can't put my suit on and feel good going to these calls, I can't do my job to the best of my ability. Right. So you wake up and you feel that, and you emote it, you feel it, you understand the emotion, and we run from that. and we hide it. Don't hide it. You feel bad for a reason because you want to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So instead of hiding behind it and put more clothes on, feel bad in the moment and commit to yourself in that mirror. I want to change, not for those reasons that are artificial, but for
Right.
the real reasons.
Right.
And that's the steps you do. If you do that, it becomes it's never easy,
Yeah.
but it becomes much easier because now you have something you're working for. You have a why.
Right. Well, it's congruency in your life, right? Like you're, if I'm going to do this way, I'm going to do this way, and do this way. How I do anything is how I do everything.
Everything,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's funny you bring that up. I had a coach that I was working with last year, and I was kind of figuring out, hey, do I want to still work from home, or because I was in a transition with my business, still working from home, and then into an office. And his question that he posed to me is like, well, what is a guy that your goals? What does that guy do? Oh, I'm
Wow.
like, well,
See,
he has
yeah.
an office. It was like a no-brainer decision at that point, So it
Right.
is like when you get into the point of like, hey, who do I want to become, and you start to model those things, model what works, then everything does become a little bit easier. But I think that when you're living a
Yes.
life and it's not congruent, it actually creates a lot more stress for yourself. Because in your situation, you're basically talking about you're essentially resisting the greatness that is within you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what we do is oftentimes if we don't do and it's work. It's work trying to figure out what your subconscious is fighting you about.
Yep.
That's work.
Yeah.
And it's fighting all of us,
Oh yeah.
right? But
Nobody's different. Yep.
most of us don't want to fight that fight because it's so freaking exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you begin to do that, you begin to see what he or she's using to fight you. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's oftentimes the most keen like realization I had recently was that most of us don't want what we say we want and don't want what we think we want at some level, maybe a little bit of level, maybe a big level. For example, if you want to lose 30 pounds, right? And I tell you, maybe you don't want to lose it. It sounds stupid, right? It sounds like, why would I want to lose 30 pounds, coach? Well, let me ask you this. If you lost 30 pounds and you wanted to stay there, could you still go out and do Thursday night with your girlfriends?
Mm-hmm.
Could you still use that as an excuse not to go for that promotion, which right now feels good because it's not you being lazy or you being fearful, it's the weight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an excuse, right? Bobby, you don't love to fly, right? So if you become a large public motivational speaker that involves flying, now so maybe you really don't want to do that.
Right.
Right? People who are around you now who you speak to, they love you. But what if now the one person who thinks you're horrible at speaking out of 100, now you have a million followers. Now that's 1,000 people that think you're horrible. Do you want maybe you don't want that?
Right.
So until we begin to kind of figure out what that is and then address it and say, you know what, subconscious, I get it. I know why you're trying to protect me, but I'm a big boy now, right? I understand what it takes and what it's going to take for me to do this. I'm ready for it. But most of us don't even have that dialogue
Mm-hmm.
with our subconscious. We don't even get into the ring ready to fight,
Right.
right? So that's all part of it. And it's that work that's going to make you great at whatever you do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having Donnie Gupton as your mastery coach in recruiting is the step that gets you over the hump. But getting onto the hump to get over it is the subconscious battle,
Right. The belief.
right? And you and I both try to teach that, right?
Yep.
Which is why we're good at what we do because we understand that that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just keep on going back into this. I mean, when I kind of went out and when I stopped working with my dad at Precision Flooring and went out during doing this journey of being a coach, the first thing I did was, I went and got coached. I've always loved being motivated and mentored by
Right.
somebody. Like it's always been, I've
Right.
been just a junkie for personal development. That's never been the issue. But the problem is I was constantly developing a skill that I already had. I was constantly figuring out all these marketing
Right.
generation things. And I was like, oh, well, here's the next course. Let me hop on that. And then I realized I'm like, shoot, I know more now to confuse people. It's the
Yeah.
mind. Like, let me go
Yeah.
work on that. So that's like the last couple of years, that's all I've been doing is working on getting this part dialed into a maximum belief, right? And there's so many limiting beliefs and there's so many things that whether it be intentional or not, that are just ingrained with us from childhood and how we were raised and things like that. And my dad, I love my dad and my mom and all that, but there's certain things that
Of course.
happen in childhood that we don't deal with. And one of the things I think and this isn't even a childhood thing or parenting thing, I think it's a society thing, is we're taught to suppress, especially as men, right? You can't be sad,
Yes.
right? And
Can't
on
be
the
over
opposite of that,
aggressive. Yeah.
you can't be angry, because being
Yeah.
angry is bad. And it's like, well, then
That's
you
right.
start stacking all these things up, and then the pop, comes off,
That's so true.
And
That's so
so
true.
I think that there's so much of that comes back into that underlying belief, like, okay, well, can I get to where I want to go? And actually had a long call with a lady today, and she's stuck and paralyzed in fear. I want to do this. I just can't get past my own fear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I told her at that point, like, I can't help you until that part happens. I can't be your savior. That's a choice you need to make. Once you make the choice, let's do it.
Right.
So,
And that comes back to, I mean, I know. So I'll bring it back to the current topic, right?
yep.
About fitness and how to make that work inside a busy life or a constrained life. Um, you're right. Many of us continue to build upon skills that we have and know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So most people who are going to join, this video and hopefully join. I'm doing real time workouts for the next 8 weeks. Like follow Coach Bobby. But most people who do that, they either know enough already about fitness, about nutrition to start and go a long way on the path, or can easily find it.
Yep.
Right. And so they have to have the knowledge already or can easily find it. And so all of us, including me, I did Toastmasters. I read all kinds of self-help books. And finally, like you, I finally realized, enough, man, about speaking, Bobby, about storytelling. What's the real holdup?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this person who you're listening to on YouTube, why is he doing it and you're not?
Right.
And it comes back to like, okay, so now and it's easier than ever to figure out through neuroscience, through all these things. It's easy enough now to figure out. And even if you're kind of shy about it or embarrassed that your subconscious is holding you back, in your own time, you can figure out ways to work on that so that when you go to Coach Gupton, he can do his part.
Mm-hmm.
So videos on neuroscience, on belief systems, on habit forming, all those things are available, but you have to know that that's a hangup,
Right.
that that's a roadblock that's preventing you from using the knowledge you already have or can easily acquire to go to the next step. And the realization that I don't need any more building blocks.
Yeah.
All I need is this part to be ready for
Right.
the building blocks. So
Yeah.
that's profound, man, and so true.
That's great. So for those of you that are listening live right now, drop a comment. Let us know if you've ever, whether it be from the business or in your fitness, like if you find mindset being a struggle. Be curious to see who else has that. Now I kind of want to transition into actually some of the real work that we can do, Bobby. For those of you that are just joining in now, Bobby was my coach going into starting in high school. He was my speed coach, and then he became kind of my overall speed coach, fitness coach, as I was in junior college preparing to go, hopefully to be playing at University of Nevada. We were able to do that, and Bobby's a big credit to that. But one of the things the reason why is because Bobby used to break me. I'm going to be honest, this guy's stuff is no joke. And then after that, I decided to go work out with him again, in my mid-20s, and that was foolish. But Bobby's come up with a killer thing. He coins it the UMC, or the Ultimate Muscle Confusion. That's what I remember last, Bobby. I'm going to let you kind of take this from here, but I will just tell you guys that that are listening that if you want not just a workout at home, but a killer workout at home that you can do with almost anything, listen to what he's got to say here. I mean, this stuff's amazing.
Yeah, so I'll talk about just in general, like what holds us back from fitness, right? We've gone over mindset,
Yep.
right? We talked about that. But once you get that part controlled, you'll never beat it. I mean, as we said earlier,
Yeah.
it's a continuous fight. But once you get a handle on on that fight, the mindset, the next step is how do I pragmatically make fitness work
Right.
in my life? And so many of us are super busy with work and children and just our lives that it's hard, if not impossible, to commit to a 5 day a week for an hour workout.
Mm-hmm.
And on the nutrition side, to commit to every Sunday spending 3 or 4 hours meal prepping for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of knew that going into this new business I started about 7 years ago, but it crystallized even more as I went along. So my background, as Donnie talked about, is, I played football in college. So much of my lifting and exercise base was built on a sports football foundation.
Right.
So heavy lifting, hours in the gym, really no cardio.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those guys trying to get buff. And so that's kind of where it started. And then as I got older, past 30, I began and was working at a desk and still kind of having the same fitness regimen, working out, heavy weights, not really dieting, not really doing cardio. That that began to catch up to me. And I found myself getting bigger and
Right.
heavier. And I found myself not really wanting to be that anymore, which was accelerated when I started my business, because most of my clientele is not trying to be buff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to be lean. 90% women, and then the 10% men that I have are they want muscles, but they want to be lean.
Right.
So I began to kind of figure out ways to do it. So almost as an accident, I discovered this methodology that I call ultimate muscle confusion, which is basically a combination of two common concepts: high intensity interval training, HIIT training, which I started before there was a name for it. So HIIT training, and then muscle confusion, which is giving your body constant new stimulus to work from, and so you're shocking it. So the ultimate muscle confusion concept is built on those two already common and known concepts. The way it's different is I make sure that I always teach people that to have a great workout system, not a workout, a system, meaning that you can do this thing and rely on this thing for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's a system that you can turnkey, and you know that you can use it forever. The importance and the two most important principles for that is that the workout must be time and location independent, right? So most of us equate fitness with the gym or running or something that requires a location, right? We also equate working out with a certain time. An hour is a typical mind
Mm-hmm.
uh, equalization, or we equal an hour to a workout for most of
Mm-hmm.
us. So we have to first get out of that mindset, right? And know and know and tell ourselves that I need to be able to work out wherever I'm at, and whether I have 20 minutes or an hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? And make it efficient. Most of us can't even imagine that. I know I couldn't. I
Right.
couldn't imagine doing a 20-minute workout. I couldn't imagine doing a workout in a hotel room or my bedroom 20 years ago. So when I created this, I wanted that to be the foundation. So now the way you can do that, and I'll send your group
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of ideas. But the way you can do that is you make sure that, especially if you're new. So there's two pieces. If you're new to fitness, or you've been in and out of fitness, your only goal is to make sure that you can get your heart pumping, you can break down some muscle tissue to begin to build lean muscle, and that you can do it in a way that's quick, challenging. It will be challenging, but quick, so that your body has a larger window to burn energy,
Right.
right? So if you only train 3 or 4 times a week for 45 minutes, for example, you want that 45 minutes to extend what I call the metabolic window as large as possible. So you could walk for 45 minutes, or you could do something that's more challenging that extends the calorie burning or energy burning window for an hour and a half. So
Mm-hmm.
now your three workouts that were 45 minutes equate to double that in terms of fuel burn. So that's kind of the foundation of what I believe in. And when you do that with either a timer, or you do that with an idea of how many reps you're going to do aggregately, it makes the idea of getting a 20-minute workout in wherever you're at easier to do. That's the one bucket if you're new. If you're not new to working out, it creates an easy way to maintain momentum. Like the hardest thing that people to remember and understand is that the real key to fitness is just longevity.
Right.
Like I ain't special because I know some fancy ways of working out. I have better ways now than many people, but I'm fit at 48 because my mindset was that I would never not be fit.
Right.
And I make sure that my momentum in this relationship with my body never stops. Right? That's only possible if you have something you can do when you're in Hawaii, something
Right.
you can do when you're homesick with your kids or you're confined because of the coronavirus. If you have no way of doing that, no mindset, no way of doing that, then you can't continue momentum. So guys who understand and have no problem working out, girls who have no problem working out, there will be times when you can't, late at work, office, traveling. So you have to, and when you come back from those times, the momentum stops. It's hard to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where 3 days turns into a week turns into a month, and before you know it, you haven't worked out in 6 months. So the key is when you're at home, right? I can bang out some push-ups and crunches and burpees. Or when you're home, I can say, today I'm going to do 100 squats throughout the
Right.
day. So there's ways and tricks that you can do that make not only your body stay within the whole continuum of working out, but your mind stays there. Where you say, I'm still an athlete. I'm still somebody who can identify as being fit. Once you stop doing that, you begin to disidentify as a fit person, and it makes it easier to go 3, 4, 5 months not working out.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That makes complete sense. I just had a baby 9 months ago, and I'm still giving myself excuse that
Yeah.
that's why I can't get in the gym. And it's the momentum thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
And that's all it is, because I know once I'm back in there and I'm rolling and it's easy, that it's good for me. But that's certainly a struggle that I've gone through over the last couple of months is the momentum, and
Right.
knowing that that's really once. It's funny how we have these things, and I don't know, maybe I'm speaking for myself, but sometimes there's this resistance towards the workout because it's going to be the work.
Right.
But then when you get there and you get into it, it's like, right on, this is exactly where I want to be.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But it's that story in our head of, nah, you don't need to go there, right? And that's where I think the momentum comes into play.
I think one of my gifts, as we all have gifts. One of my gifts is the ability to frame stuff in a way that's relatable to people. Mm-hmm. So I've always tried to do that. I'm writing a book that for the last 5 or 6 years. It's the ways that the relationship with your body is the same as a relationship with anybody else in your life, your spouse, your kids. And that's how I look at it. So this is a perfect example. So I'll give you 2 examples. So number one, let's say, and the title of this chapter is "It's Not About You," right? So if you remember, you're probably going through it again pretty soon now. You remember, and the listeners and followers can remember this. They have children. You sat down and watched Barney or Sesame Street with your kids for hours, probably. Mm-hmm. You sat down on the floor after coming home from work and colored with your, even though you didn't want to, colored with your children. I still come home after workouts or all day coaching people and my son's playing basketball and ask me to play. I can't say no to that.
Right.
Right. So I'm doing things I don't want to do. Right. But I'm doing it because that ain't for me. It's for them.
Right.
Right. So your body relationship is the same exact thing. Right. There are things you do that are for you. Mm-hmm. Right. Sleeping in, that's for you. Eating a hamburger and fries and pizza, that's for you. Right. Getting your butt up at 5 a.m. only Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for an hour, 3 times a week, that's for your body. It ain't for you. I don't like getting up. That's great because it ain't for you. Right? I don't like eating chicken and broccoli. Oh, that's great because it ain't for you.
I love it.
Right? So we do that all the time with our kids and our spouses, but with our own body, we can't do that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So when I train, I tell myself, okay, Bobby, you don't want to work out today? That's great because it ain't for you. Tomorrow when you're going to the game with your boys and we're gonna have a beer and that's for you. This is not for you. So it's about reframing things that way. And when you begin to do that, it's never easy, but at least you understand, why you're doing it, right? Another one is that I say, when you're in the moment, be in the moment, right? So people in my class all the time, they have these new Apple watches, check it out, watch, text it. I get so mad at them. Like, put that watch away. Be here.
Yep.
And so when you're training or you're exercising, that's time with your body. The same as if you went to your son's basketball game, you wouldn't let nobody talk to you for 5 minutes while your son's playing. Like, dude, my son's playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for him. Right? My wife and I are watching the Lifetime movie. I don't have my phone next to me because I'm with her. So my gift is I can reframe things. And one of the ways I say, look, it's a relationship. Either you love your body or you don't. Now, I try going a week without calling your wife back.
Right.
Try going a week without hanging out with your son and tell me how that turns out when you come back and say, hey, let's hang out, right? Your body's the same way. Neglect your body for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when you wanted to provide for you when you go to the beach, ask your body how it responds.
Oh, I can tell you, bro. I neglected my body for 6 months,
I
and
promise you, it's gonna slap you in the face and say, I tried to talk to you 6 months ago. I tried to hang out with you 5 months ago. You said no, and now you want me to love you because we're on the beach, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, man. I tell you right now. I mean, I went out there and neglected my body for 6 months with the baby, and then went out for a turkey bowl and went out. I can still move, Bobby. Okay, I still have that.
Oh, I know you can.
But that old hammy didn't agree.
Yeah, he did not agree with you.
Pulled up flame on that one.
He did not agree with you.
Hey man, I know that one of the things that you're going to do is kind of, for those of you watching, if you're liking this, give us a like, love, comment. We appreciate it. But one of the things Bobby's going to do is provide, if you guys want to follow him, I actually tagged him in a comment here, Bobby Bluford. He's going to be doing virtual trainings and workouts from home every day during this. We're actually in Santa Clara County here in California. We are in shelter in place. Not all of you watching around the world here may have the same stuff, but either way, a lot of gyms are closed down, I know, nationwide. So, but other than that, Bobby, I mean, is there some basic kind of workouts, some basic structure you can provide people?
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys some structure as to how to think about it. So if you guys can commit, whether you're like us in a shelter in place, or you're just trying to avoid crowds, or your gym shut down, if you can think in terms of movements that require large movement, right, large body parts. So, and you can use everyday household things for this. I always recommend that you begin to build a home gym, small home gym. Like I'll provide a link for you guys of a resistance bands set that I use. $35, 6 resistance levels, the highest of which can be done with strong guys, with biceps and chest stuff. So at some point, get a heavy dumbbell and maybe a 2 medium-sized dumbbells. But even before you do all that, everyday household things can be used. But the idea is you want to use big body parts, right? So you want to move. I'm gonna stand up if I can, show you guys a few things. At your desk, right? You want to get up. You want to be able to move, right? Large body parts. That's legs, right? If you can't do squats, your knees hurt, you want to do single leg stuff, you can do step ups with a bench, right? It's kind of, I want to my chair swivels. I want to do it.
Go ahead and give it a shot. Nothing would be entertaining.
I'm an athlete, man. I'm an athlete. Here we go. There we go. But you can do that, right? You can do push-ups, modified or regular, right? You can do, if you can't do a burpee, I recommend burpees because burpees work your whole body, but you can very easily just do jumps, right? You can jump, right? And you can do it one of two ways. If you have a timer, I use one of two timer apps. I use for Android devices. I'll provide it in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
The Impetus app on any Apple products, I use Seconds Pro. It's a free version. I prefer 30-second increments. My classes are built on that.
Yep.
So you can create. I do a 50-minute one, 100 stations, if you will, of 30 seconds. And you can do opposing body parts. So I maximize my time on task and the workout by not resting, but instead doing an opposing body part. For example, you could do a very simple 3-station big muscle group and cardio workout. You could do squats, right? You could do squats for 30 seconds on a bench or off a bench or with a weight or without a weight. You can use a book bag from your kid. You can load it like this on you, and I'll show you some stuff. And again, you guys all join me in my workout group. But you can do squats of some kind for 30 seconds, right? Right away, get to the ground. You can do push-ups for 30 seconds. Right away, get on your back, and you can do crunches for 30 seconds. That's a minute and a half, right? You get up and do it again. If you do that for 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds, I promise you that will be a great workout.
Yep.
Right. And the beauty of it is my workouts can be done by anybody. Right. And you will never outgrow it. So you might say, oh, I'm strong. Okay, well, if you're strong, we're doing our squats with a dumbbell. Right. We're doing our push-ups either regular or we're doing explosive push-ups. Right. We're doing crunches with a dumbbell. Right. And I don't care who you are, you'll get burnt out. So, and that can be done. And the beauty of that is if you have 10 minutes, a timer workout is perfect because you know how long it's going to last. Right? You can design it such that it's just 10 minutes or 15 minutes, right? In that case, if you do 10 rounds of that, that's 15 minutes. And every muscle group is worked, right? Shoulders, tricep, chest, legs, right? And cardio and abs. So that's an example. And I have dozens of them. If you have more time or don't want to have a timer going off, you could very simply do what I call a 25 to 5 workout, right? Where you have a number to get to. Now we're doing 25 squats, right? 25 push-ups, 25 crunches. And then 20 squats, 20 push-ups, 20 crunches, and then 15. So 25 down to 5, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. And that can be done at your own discretion, right? You can multitask doing that. 25 squats, check your email. 25 push-ups, check an email. Right, 25 crunches, go beat my kids because they're fighting, right? But you can do, if you have more time, you can do that, a non-timed numerical workout. So, but the idea is you want to do large muscle groups, right? When you're short on time, you want to do it in a condensed time frame. You want to do it where you're kind of moving quickly, getting your heart rate up, and you don't need to do like traditional cardio to burn energy. Right now, cardiovascular, like riding a bike or going for a jog, that's great in terms of what it does for your heart, getting your heart pumping for a longer period of time, right? But you can very easily do a similar workout that gets the same function from your heart, but you have the added benefit of resistance training. So if you do that 15-minute workout and time it, either timed or 25 to 5 workout as fast as you can, your heart rate will get as high as it would going for a 30-minute jog.
Oh yeah.
And you're done.
I can definitely speak to that.
I know you can. And you might need to, and some of the stuff that I'm going to give you guys in my group when you guys join, you might need a bucket nearby. Because some of it can be advanced to the point where you kind of feel like, oh, this is really, really hard. I might need to go donate some stuff to this bucket. But there's ways, again, a lot of it's the mindset. Big muscle groups, quick workouts, set aside time to do 15 minutes or say throughout the day, I'm going to finish this 25 to 5 workout, or I'm going to do a total of 100 squats, 100 push-ups, 100 crunches throughout the day, right? But there's ways to figure out what your target is and then go meet it. And then the next day, momentum is still there and you can move forward. But I mean, it's very simple to stay in shape, even when you're constrained.
Yeah. No, and I mean, going through your workouts, the cool thing is once you understand the concept of what you're doing, it is something you could easily do on your own, right?
Yep.
Obviously, the advantage of working out with you is that you're going to get your ass pushed to breaking point, which is great with any coach at any level, right? Is the extra coach. But that's I think one of the greatest things. Actually, I've done your workout at my gym, just understanding the concepts. And, I would do, bench and then get down and do a plank and then get down and do some step ups. Right. And I think one of the biggest things for me, what I loved about it is I could do this in the 30 minutes and I would have weights and cardio done. Boom.
All done.
Exactly. And in a better workout than me hopping on a bike and doing whatever, it's incredibly efficient and yeah, I mean, it burns like crazy. I mean,
And you'll realize
I don't have those that you have.
you got some, and you'll realize. I mean, and you'll attest to this. You realize, from a guy, and there's probably many people in your group who
Mhm.
have been guys who worked out or still work out at a gym and do a typical, and girls too, will do a typical like pyramid where they'll do 12 reps at a weight they could have done 20 probably because of warming up. Then they'll
Mhm.
do 10 reps at a weight they could have done 20, 10 reps at a weight they could have done 20 reps. And then they'll
Mhm.
do 8 reps at a weight they could have done 15. So it's not until they get to like, the round of 6 or 4 are they taxing themselves. So you've
Right.
wasted like 25 minutes and had no real muscle activation,
Mhm.
right? Whereas ours, whether it's timer based or whether it's aggregate number based, just about every minute of the workout is taxing,
Yeah, it's burn.
right?
Yeah.
And then and then it's a fear factor of guys who want to be buff. That if I do that, I won't be able to keep muscle, and I kind of dispel a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
Right. But you can because your body, what you lose in the ability to go heavy because you're so tired
Yep.
that you can't go heavy, but your body's production of HGH and testosterone goes up when you're in a high intensity atmosphere for your body. Your body
Mhm.
thinks you're fighting danger or running from a saber-toothed tiger, so it pumps out testosterone. That overrides the less weight you have to do because you're going nonstop. And
Right.
so once you start doing this, I'm sure you feel the same way. You almost feel kind of odd when you just do a set and rest. It's
Yeah.
like this feels awkward.
It's a waste
I
of
mean,
time. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
waste
Yeah.
of time. You're looking around, you're like, I don't know, I should do something, calf raises, crunches, or something.
Yep.
But yeah, and once you get used to that, you realize how much time, at least I did, how much time many of us waste and then complain about not having time to work out. Where if we
Yep.
adopted our idea, they wouldn't need as much time, and they would see how easy it is to fit exercise and workouts into their lifestyle. So
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here with me and sharing all this stuff
no, thank you, man.
with my audience. I know it well, and I know it works, and I know that right now there's a lot of challenges that we're faced with to getting that workout in and making sure that we keep ourselves healthy during these challenges is obviously critically important. How can I'm going to put, or we'll find a way to get your link to your group and your trainings and stuff on this live video here, but and you're tagged in this video, but how can people, reach out to you? What's the best way to get in touch with you, Bobby?
So the easiest way, I have a website, coachbobbybluford.com. An easier way probably is if you text BTY, which is my mantra, like better than yesterday. I failed to mention that, but BTY 5 steps, meaning the 5 steps to greatness we talked about. So BTY 5 steps. If you text that to the number 44222, I can add you to my list. I'll send you out, some 25 to 5 workouts. I'll send you out some mindset stuff you can work on, and then I'll send you out information to joining my live stream workouts that'll be available probably starting Thursday. Every day live stream workouts you can do from your home. So at Coach Bobby on social media, CoachBobbyBluford.com, and then you can text BTY 5 steps to the number
Yeah.
44222.
And on Facebook, you're just Bobby Bluford. Are you
Yeah,
actively accepting friend requests or?
I am. I am.
All right, cool.
I am. Please. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Awesome,
Yeah.
man. Thanks again for being here. What's one last piece of advice that you can give our listeners here today, man?
My last advice, guys. I know this group is for mastery, for recruiting agencies and executives, but all of us have roles we play, and things we do, whether it's our career, whether it's parenting, leadership in our community. I am of the fundamental belief that we have greatness in all of us. It is our natural born right to go hunt that greatness, not just chase it, go hunt it. And hunt means that it's been robbed of us. Our greatness, our idea of greatness has been robbed of us by life. And it is our obligation to go hunt that greatness that's inside of us and get it, and then bring that greatness to the forefront for the rest of the world to to absorb and consume what only we can bring to it. So I wish you guys the luck, and I ask that you guys go out there and be the best version of you every day so that we all can benefit.
Love it, man. I absolutely love that. And I know you're pursuing greatness and have been since I've known you, man. So I love that you're practicing what you preach. Again, dude, thank you so much for being here, spending time with me and my buddies group. I will see you
Thank
guys
you, Daddy.
all next. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be talking more.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you soon.